Drummertime is a TR-XOX inspired drum sequencer for eurorack. It is available in different eurorack form factors, features large tactile buttons and has many powerful features. Analog and MIDI instruments can be controlled, and similarly Drummertime can be clocked from analog and MIDI clock sources. Drummertime is optimized for live performance and allows quick programming and editing of drum patterns. This is accomplished by features such as tap recording, various play directions, a global mute mode and on-the-fly song mode, probability control and an intuitive and quick user interface. This video serves as an introduction to Drummertime and shows its abilities. You will learn about basic pattern and song editing as well as more advanced and performance-oriented features such as instrument muting, ratchet and flam or probability. User interface. In this video I show Drummertime in the 74 HP version, but the same features also apply to the 60 HP 1U, 4 HP 3U version. First I would like to say a few words about Drummertime's user interface, inputs and outputs. There are 8 instrument trigger outputs here. There's a clock input or output that doubles as MIDI input. And here is a reset or run stop input or output that doubles as a MIDI output. Drummertime has 16 buttons with LEDs and 1 function button. The LEDs can be red, blue or purple. A blue LED usually indicates a mode and a red LED a parameter. For example, in this case, the selected instrument is snare drum, the play direction is forward and we are in pattern view. I'm turning on some steps to show you the red LEDs. If an LED is purple, it is red and blue at the same time. In this case here, a step is set and the play direction is forward. Drummertime is a pattern-based sequencer. Each pattern can have up to 16 steps with 8 instrument tracks and 16 different patterns can be programmed. There are 2 view modes. In pattern view, you can see the steps of a pattern, 1 instrument track at a time. In song view, each button and LED represents a pattern that can be chained to a song. Pattern view. As indicated by the blue LED, we are now in pattern view. Here you can write steps, select instruments, define play directions, set the length of a pattern and more. To write a step, just press a button and the step is active and shown in red. To clear a step, simply press the button again. Currently, the snare drum is selected as the active instrument. To change the active instrument, you can either press and hold the function button and then press the instruments button, or long press an instruments button. Let's connect the clock and write a basic pattern. First I connect a bass drum synthesizer and write a bass drum pattern. I connect the snare drum as well. I'm changing the active instrument to snare drum and program some steps. Let's add some hi-hats and use the tap recording function this time. Press and hold the function button and press tap. Now the instrument can be recorded using the instrument buttons, and also via MIDI by the way. To exit tap mode, press the function button again. To clear the currently active track, press and hold the function button and hold clear. As long as clear is pressed, the currently playing steps are cleared. To change the play direction to forwards or backwards, press and hold the function button and press back or forward. To select ping pong or random direction, press and hold the function and long press the direction buttons. The random play direction does not play all steps completely randomly, but uses an algorithm to produce musical results. I'm now switching back to the forward direction. To change the last step of a pattern, use last step. Press and hold function and last step, and you can now see the last step of the pattern in red. Here, step number 16. By pressing buttons, you can change the last step easily. To exit last step, press Function again. To copy the currently active instrument track, press and hold Function and long press Copy. The track is now copied and can be pasted into another instrument or another pattern. I would like to paste it into the low tom instrument, so I select it. And to paste, press Function and long press Paste. You can now see all the data from the snare drum pasted into the low tom instrument. It is also possible to mute instruments. This works globally across all patterns. To access mute mode, press and hold Function and then press Mute. Here we can see the 8 instruments, and whenever they are triggered, the LEDs turn off for a moment. Currently all instruments are unmuted, but with the press of a button they can be muted or unmuted again. The upper 8 buttons in mute mode are for probability control. Here you can define which instruments react to probability. Currently none does, but I now turn on probability for the hi-hats. Probability is controlled via the low and high tom instruments. Each step, the probability of an instrument playing is evaluated in the following way. If no tom is programmed, the instrument influenced by probability will always play. If only the low tom is programmed, the instrument will only play with a probability of 75%. If only the high tom is set, the probability is 50%, and finally, if both toms are set, it's 25%. If I now set steps into the tom tracks, you can hear how it influences the hi-hat instruments. To save programmed patterns, songs and configuration, press and hold Function and long press Save. Song View. To enter Song View, press the Function button and press Song. Here, each button and LED represents one pattern. The currently active pattern is blinking and patterns that are part of a song are shown in red. In order to change a pattern immediately, just press one of the buttons. If you go back to Pattern View, we can now see the content of this pattern and modify it. There are 2 ways to change patterns to a song. If you just press the pattern button and hold it, you can now add another pattern to the song by pressing other buttons. The maximum number of patterns in a song is 32, and the same pattern can be added multiple times. When you release all buttons, the currently playing pattern will finish playing and the first pattern of the new song will start. A different method to program a song is to long press the first pattern of the song. Now, both the pad and song LEDs light up to indicate latched song programming mode. You can now just press the pattern buttons in the order you want them in the song. When you are finished, press the Function button and the new song will start in sync. Note that in both cases a new song can be programmed while another is still playing, and only if you have finished recording, the new song replaces the old one. Often, creating a variation of an existing pattern is quicker than creating a new pattern from scratch. In Song View, you can easily copy and paste patterns. To do so, press the Function button, press Copy and select the patterns to copy. To paste a previously copied pattern, first press Func and Paste to enter paste mode. Then, press one or multiple pattern buttons to paste the copied pattern into these patterns. When finished, press Function again. Now all 4 patterns have the same content and we can create variations. Either by editing the patterns one at a time in Pattern View, or by chaining them to a song and editing them live in Pattern View. Similarly to the play directions in pattern mode, you can also change the play direction of a song. The song can play forward, backward, ping-pong or randomly, while the pattern play direction is completely independent and not changed. Pressing only one pattern button in song mode will change the pattern immediately while staying in sync. This allows you to use pattern changing as a live performance tool. Drummertime includes a Flam or ratchet effect that can be used to create subdivisions of steps, as well as various kinds of tuplets, e.g. triplets or quintuplets. There's always one instrument that triggers the Flam effect, and multiple instruments can be set to react to this trigger. To enter the Flam configuration menu, press Funk and long press Flam. We can see the trigger instrument in blue, currently the cymbal. We can see the Flam target instrument in red, here the hi-hats. But we can also select more targets. And finally, the 8 non-instrument buttons show the Flam type. If I now activate Flam by selecting the first type, you can hear that the effect is triggered every time a simple step is set. We can now select other target instruments as well. And now you can hear the effect triggering the toms too. Let's have a look at the Flam types. There are 3 types that create subdivisions of a single step. 2 beats per step, 3 beats per step, and 4 beats per step. If we select the hi-hat as the triggering instruments, we can get continuous 30 seconds or 30 second triplets. The other 4 types create divisions of multiple steps. 16th triplets, which is 3 beats for each 2 steps. Dotted 16ths, 2 beats for each 3 steps. 8th triplets, 3 beats for each 4 steps. And 8th quintuplets, 5 beats for each 4 steps. If I select the 16th triplet now, we get a nice shuffle rhythm. But in order to hear these settings properly, we need to delete some hi-hat steps. I'm removing every second hi-hat step and activating 16th triplets. I can also program quarter note hi-hats, maybe 16th for the last bar. Let's also try the other settings. Here are 8th triplets with 16th for the last bar, and here are the 8th quintuplets. I think we'll just play with this a little bit to show you what's possible. The Flam trigger instrument is also affected by the settings in probability mode, by the way. This allows sequences with Flams or triplets inserted randomly. Config menu. The config menu contains settings and configurations that are only occasionally needed. To enter the config menu, press and hold the function button and then long press conf. Here, parameters are shown in blue and their values are shown in red. Included with Drummertime is this config menu cheat sheet, and of course you can also find a detailed explanation in the user manual. In the config menu, you can change the MIDI input and output channels, adjust the pulse length of the instrument outputs for both normal and accented steps, and change the LED brightness. You can also select the clocking mode, MIDI and analog clock dividers, swinger mount, and access the clock generator. As an example, I am now changing the LED brightness. Press Funk and High Tom to access the LED brightness page. Then, without pressing function, select the desired level of brightness. To exit the config menu, press the function button and conf again. Clocking options. There are various ways to clock Drummertime. By analog clock, MIDI clock, or by using the internal clock generator. 6 clock modes are available. In reset mode, Drummertime is clocked by an analog clock at the clock input, and the sequencer is reset when the reset input goes high. In run-stop mode, the sequencer is running as long as the signal at the run-stop input is high and stopped if low. In MIDI I/O mode, Drummertime is clocked and started via MIDI and also outputs MIDI at the MIDI output. Clock MIDI mode is a hybrid. Here, Drummertime is clocked with an analog clock but outputs MIDI instrument data. Generator clock plus run-stop mode is using the internal clock generator and outputs analog clock and run-stop signals. Generator clock plus MIDI mode also uses the internal clock generator but outputs an analog clock and MIDI clock simultaneously. There are separate clock dividers for both the analog clock and the MIDI clock. This allows you to run Drummertime at various speeds and step lengths, such as 16th, 8th, quarter notes, but also more unconventional dividers, such as 3/16 or 1/2 triolic. Clock generator. By pressing Function plus Tab in the config menu, we can access the clock generator. Here, the L step button on the right functions as Start/Stop button. The Tab button light shows the current quarter note downbeat, while the Mute button blinks once each step. There are 2 ways to change the tempo. One method is to tap your desired tempo using the Tab button. It is also possible to adjust the tempo using the 8 buttons on the left. High tom will increase the tempo by 1 BPM, cymbal will increase it by 2 BPM, open hi-hat by 5 and closed hi-hat by 10 BPM. Similarly, low tom decreases the tempo by 1 BPM, snare drum by 2, bass drum by 5 and accent by 10 BPM. Swing. Drummertime includes a swing clock generator that works with all kinds of clock sources. When activated, every second step is delayed by an adjustable factor proportional to the step length. To change the swing amount, just go into the config menu and select the swing page by pressing Function plus Pad. Currently, there is no swing, and by pressing the buttons we can adjust the swing amount. The maximum swing amount will result in a 3-to-1 rhythm. Pulse length. The pulse length of the outputs can also be set in the config menu. Lengths between 1 millisecond and 100 milliseconds are available. Here, I am changing the cymbal pulse length and we can hear how the sound changes. It is possible to set a different pulse length for steps where accent is set. I set the accented pulse length to 100 milliseconds. And when I now set some accent steps, you can hear how the pulse length changes dynamically. It is also possible to set Drummertime to gate mode, where it outputs gates instead of pulses. These can be used to control ADSR envelopes, or for example, as demonstrated here, turn the cymbal on and off. An interesting setting is clock width. Here, the pulse length is matched to the pulse width of the analog clock. If you change the pulse width of the clock, the pulse width of the sequencer changes with it. Linking Drummertimes. Using the link interface on the back, multiple Drummertimes can be linked to create longer patterns or more instrument tracks. Drummertimes can be connected directly or using our link patch bay to dynamically change connections. The first Drummertime in a chain acts as the controller, accepting clock or MIDI sync and forwards it to other Drummertimes. There are 2 link modes, serial and parallel. In serial mode, the controller forwards its clock to create longer patterns. When changing the active instrument on the controller, linked Drummertimes will follow. Likewise, mute, tap and clear also works across Drummertimes, allowing to record long patterns and muting globally. This concludes the tutorial. There are more features I have not shown. Accented steps can have different pulse lengths, many parameters can be controlled via MIDI CC, Drummertime can act as a MIDI interface, and link modes can be combined. It is always worth having a look at the user manual, which is included with Drummertime or can be found on our website.